taken down, I had something given to us by a friend of ours. Pawnee had seen it and showed it to me. And somebody had put up online their sort of self-written article about why they're leaving the Orthodox Church. It was very well written, it was very well thought out, and the person certainly didn't have any false illusions. You know, their reasons were very justified. But what it spoke to me, and what the comment section afterward really kind of spoke to, is the lament that somebody felt they needed to leave the Orthodox Church. You see, this person had converted into Orthodoxy, had come in, and was a member of a Greek Orthodox church somewhere in the South. And as they were there, they had no love. You know, they were generally excluded pretty consistently. Their own sponsor, godparent, was not active in their life, didn't ask them how they were, even in a very, polite way, as you would to a casual acquaintance. And eventually, they had fallen in love with Orthodox doctrine, with the worship that we have, with what we believe, but fell out of love with how the church treated them as a whole. And one of the main reasons that they spoke about their desire to leave is that he, a convert, was not accepted, was never given love or appreciation because he wasn't truly Orthodox. And the Orthodox are high and mighty and look down upon other people of what they believe. And so it kind of struck a chord with me. And it hurts, it honestly does, that anybody would have been treated that way by any church. And what's more, that they were treated that way by one of our churches. And then it also reminded me of an article from, I think, the early 80s that kind of speaks about the same thing. And I'll share with you an editorial note from a seminarian that, and I quote, "A few months ago, the American Atheist Organization moved their national headquarters from Austin, Texas to Cranford, New Jersey, a small community approximately 40 miles west of New York City. The change of venue for this godless group received a minimum of media coverage and barely caused a ripple of attention among believers in the area. This reaction, or lack thereof, was certainly a far cry from the outrage we felt in the 60s when American Atheist founder Madalyn Murray O'Hair waged a successful campaign to remove prayer from our public schools. The mere mention of her name made our blood boil." Now he goes on to continue kind of expressing this sort of news coverage, but he highlighted a few things in his own article. And one is that, in general, religious leaders do not feel threatened by atheists anymore. And then finally, atheism is not as big of a worry for us as other things, such as youth sports on Sundays, computer misuse, and the fact that when times are good, most people don't seem to need God that badly. Our own apathy poses more problems for us than atheists do. And that's kind of what I wanted to highlight, is the sheer fact that this same person who left a couple weeks ago in the Orthodox Church and decided to write about it was a victim of the same thing that was written about 30 years ago. The apathy of the church. That we, any of us, whether we are converts, whether we are cradle-born, and it truly doesn't matter the difference between the two. We have an apathy in expressing our faith, in expressing it to other people. And it's an easy trap to fall into as Orthodox Christians. There is a rich depth of doctrine, of theology in our church. There's such deep meaning and such symbolic attachment in everything that we do in the Divine Liturgy, in all of our services, that it's truly easy to get lost in some of the simple matters of being a welcoming and a warm and a beautiful human being. And I certainly don't say this to attack anybody, because I truly love this church and I've seen all of you be welcoming and hospitable, and wonderful, not just to me and my wife, but to anybody who comes through our doors. And so this isn't sort of attack. It's a warning to be attentive. If you notice that this morning was Zacchaeus Sunday, and that gospel starts to mark the beginning of the coming Lenten season. And soon we'll be going into the Triodian, soon we'll be ramping up to spiritually self-examining ourselves, to trying to become better, so that at the time of Pascha we are truly a different and more worthy person. And I think it starts with understanding some of what we face as an Orthodox Church as a whole. That those from the outside don't look at us the way that we look at ourselves. And to always be reminded of the simple, the very basic Christian messages of loving each other. And that's why Christ said to one of the young scholars that had come up to him, who asked, well, what commandments should I follow? If I can pick and choose any of them, what would you say? And he said, the entirety of the law and the prophets hangs on two things. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. And love your neighbor as yourself. With those two things, our greatest adversary is that same apathy that drove one person not just out of the church, but so far out of the church he felt the need to write about it, to express this to the world. And the same apathy that made people entirely underwhelmed about the fact that the secular world is growing ever larger outside of us. So do not be apathetic, and combat it with love. Combat it with that true humility and that true desire to see the icon of Christ in everybody. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen.